Okay, we're back. I'm gonna, um, I guess, today we're gonna try to figure out how to loop through our table of collidable platforms and detect collision on them. Um, Two problems. One is that if we're looping through the tables and we ever detect not a collision, but if check grounded is true when we're looping through the collidables, we need to stop looping through the collidables because we don't want our grounded to get overwritten. Because if platform one is before the ground platform in the table of collidable platforms, and we're on the top platform, our check grounded will become true, so that our grounded will become true, but then it'll cycle through and then check if check grounded is true on the ground platform. And since it wouldn't be check grounded on the bottom platform, our grounded would get set to false for that, which would overwrite our correct grounded true from our platform one. So that's the first tricky part. And I think the second tricky part is the little buffer we built in so that our legs, only one leg can be off, but if both legs are off, then we trigger, falling. Since that logic, shoot. So like the problem is right now platform one is only, if we're drawing it this big, the collision detection for the left and right on the Ostrich is 7 pixels in of a buffer, which is fine for the platform because remember we checked in the original and it looked like about the neck of the Ostrich is where it bounced, but that gives us problems with the ground platform, because if our ground platform is exactly as wide as the virtual width, then 7 pixels in from that is going to be that buffer zone. So if we're right off screen, we might trigger falling when it should be the whole ground. I guess one question I have is, once the ground closes in, gets smaller, does our players' left and right collision allow us that buffer before we bounce off the side of the smaller ground platform? So I guess that's a question I have. Then the other question I have is, how do I only do a for loop until, how do I stop doing it? How do I exit out of a for loop if some condition is true? So yeah, well, let's try to figure it out though. So right here, this block is our hard-coded platform one logic, and ideally we want something similar to this, but for all the platforms. So instead of it hard-coded, we need to do our this thing where we say for key and value of pairs of our table collidable platforms. So I guess for now I'm going to comment this out. Oops. For now, I'm going to comment this out, but I am going to, say this is our hard-coded platform 1 collision logic working okay, minus the what do I call that, perpetual side collision if dx is too low. So we can come back to that if anything goes wrong, but then we can turn back on our we could turn back on all of this. So I guess the idea here is for key, I want to say this is like index. It makes more sense to call that index to me. For index platform in pairs collidable platforms. So the idea here is in our play state, whenever we initialize the platforms, we're going to be adding it to this table of collidable platforms, so that we can cycle through and check for collision. So this platform, this is the index. So since there's 2 indices in our collidable platforms table, this for loop will go twice. And the platform is the value of the current index. So on index 1, it would be, in this case, our ground platform. And then on the second loop, it would be the platform 1. But then we can just use this parameter platform to be every single platform in our pair of collidable platforms. So we got to figure out how to nullify this for loop if anything becomes true. If any see, like I feel like you know what, yeah, our side collision stuff will get screwed by this too, not only our grounded logic, because if we're colliding with platform, if we're colliding, let's say we're like right colliding with the ground platform, which would only happen once the ground's retracted, but if we're colliding with the ground platform, since that's first in our collidable platforms table, it would say, oh hey, right collision detected, so let's shift our dx. Well, it wouldn't do that. It would say our right collision would get true, but since we're still in this for loop, we got to go through everything. So then we'll go through platform 1, and then it's like, oh, Ostrich right side collision is not with this platform. So it would be false, when really it is colliding. But I guess yeah, it's hard to say, because I think Yeah, like let's say on the first index, we detect a right collision. It would set our x to be whatever, our dx to be whatever. But then on the next one, on the next index, say platform 1, it wouldn't be colliding, therefore nothing. We'll see, and I guess it wouldn't be overwritten in that case because we're only saying to do something if it does collide. So on the second time when it doesn't collide, it's like whatever, and then it would just keep its appropriate dx. So maybe that isn't that big of an issue, but all I know is our grounded getting set to true happens on this bottom collision detection. And I do think let me just see right now where we're at, because we did remember last episode we had 2 of these self-grounded gets true. I don't remember where we took out the other one, but maybe something is a little different. Like maybe I was misunderstanding the problem earlier because of that bug. So it detects the ground collision, no problem. It doesn't do any of that weird buffer stuff that I was worried about. But let's see. That actually worked. It's working. Speak too soon. Okay. So the good news is the buffer's not messing up the ground, which is great. It's detecting collision on both. It's detecting bottom collision on both platforms, which is great. It's only not doing our check grounded appropriately. So let's see where, and this is why we took this out. So so what do we want to do on every platform? See it, and this is why. Okay. I'm pretty sure this else is the reason why it was messing stuff up, when this if wouldn't mess stuff up even if we get contradicting information from different platforms. So I think what we need to say is, instead of ever setting ground to true, all we do is check if we're not see if our check grounded function is false, and if so, set our grounding to false. Because the problem was we were setting our grounded to true, but we were never getting to this false because it was getting overwritten on the next platform. So like, let me see if that might fix it. Let me see if that might fix it. Well, that's the same problem we've been having. Hey, remember the skipping from yesterday that I couldn't figure out how to implement? Shoot. So look at this. Grounded is never getting set to true. And bottom collision isn't even getting detected, which is, oh my god, I think that's that buffer problem I was worried about. Dude, where am I? Okay, that's not great. So the reason was, we had changing grounded to true in here in this check grounded, but my reasoning was to only change it upon a bottom collision detection, not a check grounded, because we don't need to set it every time. Like, we don't need to set grounded to true every time we're grounded, every time check grounded is true. We just need to set it to grounded once we collide. I'm just confused why this doesn't, why that makes the bug it does. Because that's fine. We're not falling because we're only grounded, or we remain grounded. Oh, you know what? Again, the bottom collision bug, we need to fix that in our here. I'm gonna take some of these out that aren't necessary. Like, we don't really need, skid is kind of figured out, facing right's kind of figured out. It would be useful to have our dx and dy. We don't really need our skid turned on. Grounded is useful. Okay, so right here, I want platform 1, bottom, I'll call it bot call for fucking bottom collide. And then I also want the ground collide, because that's where we were getting problems. Or, like, it wasn't showing the proper collision detection because I only had one in there. So this would be ground platform. Okay. Yeah, okay. So yeah, now that bottom collision's detected on that ground platform and platform 1. And you guys might not be able to see when this changes because the game's running at 60 FPS. This middle value here is flashing true for 1 frame of our 60 frames, but my OBS recording is just 30, so I'm thinking you might not be able to see that in the recording every single frame, depending on if the frame was one of the 30 or not that OBS is recording. So just that to keep in mind. So when we walk off here, we need our grounded to be false. And our top check grounded did switch to false as soon as we walked off, which is good. That makes me think that that's working right. It's just that our grounded logic isn't being applied correctly, which is the problem. Yeah, see, look at this. Our ground check. Look at this. It's true, 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 false. That's exactly the buffer problem I was talking about. When we're walking off screen, it detects that our check grounded is false. So I guess my first instinct is to make the ground platform 14 pixels bigger and offset it 7 pixels to the left. Is that a good idea? I feel like it would fix it. Let's try that. So like right here, our ground platform is X, Y, width, and height, but we need a virtual width of 2 times our buffer because we need both sides. So we need buffer times 2. And then we need to offset our X by 7 pixels. Now let's see if our ground check grounded is true when it remains true while we walk off screen. There's like 1 frame in there. Did you see it? Our buffer was 7, right? Yeah, our buffer's 7. Maybe I don't like putting random numbers in there. I thought that would be it because our width is going to be 2 times the buffer, and then we offset our X. Maybe if we don't offset our X, maybe it works okay. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, shoot. I'm trying to remember exactly how we did the looping off screen with our ostrich. And I think it's just checking its X position and setting it. We're not even doing the modulo. What is it called? Loops player. Yeah, we just check its X position. Okay. So I guess let's try. I'm gonna put 12 in here and buffer 3. It's gross and it doesn't make sense, but I'm just seeing if that'll fix it. Okay, so that does fix it. So why does buffer times 2? And let me see if a positive buffer in our X position, I feel like that'll mess it up. Like I feel like that would make our check grounded become false when we get right to the left side of the screen here. It should be false like right now. Yeah. So that's incorrect. That's why I thought the negative buffer would have worked. So look at that. There's a pixel where we're off screen, and our check grounded, it's false. Gosh, it's like really, yeah, it's like 1 pixel or something. Our X right now is on the right side of the screen. And now our X is on the left side of the screen, so it doesn't matter. Both sides of the screen can trigger that false. I'm just gonna see if negative buffer -1 gives us proper, only true on the ground check grounded. Nope. So I don't think it has to do with... Shit, yeah. Hold on. Maybe... I don't like doing these nasty magic numbers, but just trying to see what fixes this. Still like one frame. So making our width a little bit bigger. Still that frame. That's so gross. Okay. Okay, that fixed it, but I'm not happy with that. Okay, it's still fixed. I'm kind of curious if taking off that. Okay. Well, okay. Well, oh. What the heck? Okay, so like moving left off screen remains true, but going right off screen triggers it for one frame or whatever. Okay, I'm just gonna offset us by 2. No, offset us by 1, but make our ground platform just 1 pixel wider. See if that fixes our issue. Okay, so that's right. Okay. So this is so the reason why I think this is disgusting is, one, this number here for the width and this number for the X offset are just randomly, 1 and 2, because that happened to fix our problem. But our ground platform needs to change size. And I don't like the fact that those numbers are in there, kind of tweaking it. I guess once I figure out what we're going to do with, or how we're going to implement the ground getting smaller, then we can worry about if that's a problem or not. It's hard for me to kind of imagine if it is just yet, but now that we got that kind of working, I want to see. So I'm gonna change this back to what it was, which was if check grounded, self-grounded gets true. Otherwise, self-grounded gets false. Let's see. Yeah. I want to say, part of me wants to see if we take out platform 1, so that there's only one collidable platform. There's no room for our looping logic here. There's no room for any of these getting overwritten because we're only doing it once. So does that fix our perpetual falling? It does. One thing I'm thinking of too is I think our skid sound. Hear that? I think our skid sound is also getting played more than once. Kind of like our side collision problem. So we might have to fix that. So I'm curious if we add back in our platform one, but we change the order so that we're not getting overwritten anymore. And this isn't, this isn't a permanent fix. I'm just seeing if this fixes our problem, then we can better diagnose it. Yeah. So, this is, I turn this on, right? Yeah. So we are looping through. But watch this. We'll probably do that perpetual falling on the platform one now. Yep. So the problem lies within that exactly what I thought, which was that in this loop, we're overriding the value. So I want to say that if we are grounded, let me think, because at this render order or this platform order, our platform one is getting overwritten by our ground platform. So we have to have something to say like, I don't know what fixes this. Because part of me thinks we need to do this last after all the other collisions and have something that says, hey, if we're check grounded, then stop going through this loop on this frame, So how do we say that? Oh, yeah. I don't know how to do that. It's, I guess... One thing I'm thinking of is if we're grounded, then we can't have if we're already grounded, we can't have a bottom collision, we can't have a top collision, we can't have side collisions with platforms. So part of me is kind of thinking that we say, hey, if we say, this line here sets our grounded, and then we need to say, by the way, if we're grounded, don't do this. Don't do this line. If we're grounded already, then don't do this. So I guess we say if we're not grounded, then see about this stuff. Would that fix anything? Because I'm saying Now, if we're on the top platform, which is the second index, no, it's the first index. Yeah, if we're on the top platform, which is the first index, on the first index loop, it's going to say, hey, if we're not grounded, check if we're, gosh, hard for me to wrap my head around this. Because our check grounded will become true upon a bottom collision, which happens. Okay, yeah. So if we're not self-grounded, oh, shoot, let me think about this. I'm trying to think, since platform 1's the first index, if we're colliding with it on the bottom, we're going to set our grounded to true. We're going to reset our Y. And then it's going to get down to this line and say, hey, if you're not self-grounded, do all this, but we are grounded, so it won't do anything. That's not right. We need to, because we need to set, see, and then there's that problem again. Why would we be setting grounded to true when we're already setting grounded to true upon a bottom collision? So part of me thinks we still don't need that. If we're grounded, that's great. If we're not grounded, false. Or, you know, if we're check grounded, then great. If we're not, grounded gets false. Then on the see, yeah, I want to say that this is just, if not grounded, grounded gets false. Then on the second index of this loop, it would be the floor. And since we are grounded already, this is wrong. We need to turn our grounded to false if our check grounded is false. But here we're checking it if we're not grounded, which is, you know, how do we do this? What do we need to do? We need to set our self-grounded to be equal to false if our self-check grounded with the current index is false. Is that right? I'm kind of curious if, you know, check grounded is false, then our self-grounded is false. So now this should still give us the problem where we're doing that perpetual fall on that platform at least. So if we're not grounded, false. Otherwise, we true. See, I think this is wrong. This just screams wrong to me. Because we're doing this self-grounded to true when we don't need to be messing with that. But we're getting overwritten. Okay, so ground platform works. Top does not. And top does not because it's the first index. And it's getting overwritten by our ground platform in this table. So back to my reasoning. If we're not, I think we need to say, like, if we're check grounded, like, it's like, there's a time where we don't want this grounded to be false upon the collision detection, or upon the not collision detection. Yeah. So yeah, there's a time where we don't want self-grounded to become false if we don't collide with the platform. That's if we're colliding with a separate platform already. We're already, we're all, oh my god, I don't know. Yeah, I want to say it has something to do with the if it's already grounded, because if we have a bottom collision, we're grounded. So if we're grounded, then we shouldn't be. Shoot, I don't know. How do we say if we've already. Hmm. What if, so we're going to check grounded on each platform. Oh my god, okay. And if we're grounded, or if check grounded is true, ungrounded is true. Easy, right? Otherwise, check grounded was false, and in that case, false. So the problem is the overriding. Let me make sure that this is still messed up. Bottom's fine, but top, perpetual fall. We're detecting that bottom collision, but we are not getting set to true because on index 2 of our collidable platforms, we're detecting that we are not check grounded. Therefore, we are not grounded. Our grounded is false because we were not grounded. So how do we do that? How do we say it's like it's half, it's like, at least I know why I'm getting the bug. I just don't know how to fix it. Which is better than not knowing how to fix it and not knowing why it's happening. So at least we're halfway there. Like, we know why it's happening. So that's good. Just don't know how to fix it. I feel like God, I don't know. Because, like, my brain was going to, would we just add a flag inside our, what's it called? When you give a field, when you give a value to a field within a class. we just give ourselves a member in C. We give ourselves a member value that says if have we collided with a gosh, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. I might need to just stir on this one a bit. What else could we try? We need some way of saying only do this logic for as long as we haven't we need to do this logic for as long as we haven't been grounded, or as long as we haven't you know what, maybe we do this no. I was going to say maybe we do this in the bottom collides function, but that's not a good idea. We need to only do this logic for as long as we haven't already been check grounded on a platform within this loop. So how do we say that? Because we're going through that loop, then we need to say maybe on the first, gosh, it's so hard to wrap my head around this. Okay, so since ground platform is second, our ground platform works fine. Our ground platform logic works fine. But since our platform 1 is first in the index, it's getting overwritten by our ground platform. So how do we say only do this line if this is a kind of a time I wish, like, you know, I had like Twitch chat here of some people who knew programming that could come help me out, or just anyone trying to figure it out with me, you know, trying to help me. So like that logic's right. It's just that it becomes wrong once another platform, once that logic runs on the next platform. So how do we say because yeah, it gets overwritten every time, because that's, you know, we're like skipping. So that means every frame it's doing that question, and then if we happen to be, oh god, I don't know. I'm stumped on this. Let's go with that member idea for now and kind of just talk it out and see if that makes any sense. So like, what if our platforms had a member? No. Because if it would be specific to that member. So on the second index of our loop here, it would be like, I don't know what you're talking about with that member because we're not even on that platform anymore, and then it would just override it, so it doesn't fix our problem. But if our Ostrich had a member called what? Oh God, oh God. I really don't know, because like I'm thinking, you know, if our Ostrich had a member saying, hey, we collided or we're check grounded with a platform already, then we would say only do this logic here if we haven't collided with a platform already, or we're not check grounded with the platform already. Let me see if we can't figure something out. Like, when did I do this? Alternate. I don't know if I use that anywhere. So look, I'm gonna give ourselves a member called already grounded. I don't know. We initialize that to false, but then in our, oh God, where were we? It was called already grounded, right? Already grounded. So we're going to say if we're check grounded with a platform, then we're going to swap that flag to be true because we just became grounded. And then we use this in a way where we're saying you know, and not already grounded. And then maybe we switch it back to false upon. God, that can't be right, right? Like the idea here is if we're trying to fix this platform 1 from getting overwritten, right? So on platform 1, when we detect a collision with platform 1, we'll get the appropriate height, we'll become grounded, and then our check grounded will become true, and we will also not be already grounded because we haven't been. So I guess the thing is, like, do we set this true upon the bottom collision or not? Which part of me thinks we do. So like, upon a bottom collision, okay. Maybe this is just grounded. I don't know. I'll just keep it already grounded. That's a little confusing, but so we're saying, okay, bottom collides. Now we're going to be already grounded, just so that now that when we're here, this check grounded will be true because there's a platform right beneath us. Shoot. I think we might need it here instead because we only want to do this once. We only want to do let's just keep walking through it. So like check grounded will be true and not self already grounded will be false because we initialize it to false, but then it'll become true. Now what that gives us is now when this platform becomes the ground platform, now it's going to say, hey, check grounded, which is false. So our else will be triggered, which gives us our incorrect logic. So that doesn't help us. It's hard for me to wrap my head around this. Because, yeah, we keep getting the problem of we just override it. Because we're looking at the same logic. We're applying the same logic. It's just, and it's working. Yeah, shit. It's almost like this needs to be an else if, not a else, because we don't want it to just be false. We don't want it to always be false. We want it to be false if we haven't already collided with something. So, okay, so let's say we're on the top platform. We just collided with it, so our check grounded will be true. We don't need to set our grounded to true because we're already grounded. We only need to set our grounded to false upon not being check grounded. So because our grounded can only become true upon a bottom collision, so we only need to do it that once. Yeah. So let's walk through this. If we're on platform 1, which is the first one, it will say we would be check grounded. That would be true. So we're not setting our grounded to false. Then on the next index, it would be the ground platform, and the ground platform would be false. So we're setting our grounded to false, which is giving us that problem. Because we want to stay grounded because we're grounded, just not on the ground platform. We're grounded on platform 1. So this is incorrect, even though, it looks like it should be that simple. It's not. Yeah, it all has to do with that overriding. So how do we say fuck. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm really stumped on this. Because this will work, sure, for the first platform, but it also sets our grounded to false upon not getting collided with the ground platform, even if we're standing. So it's almost like, oh, maybe, well, if we're not grounded, fuck, I don't know. If we're not grounded, or if we are grounded, which we would be, see, it just gets overwritten. It just gets overwritten by the second one, by the second index. By the way, guys, I got my CPAP machine today. So tonight will be the first night I wear it. I did wear it for a nap, testing it out, and I slept for like an hour and I woke up feeling great. And I took me a little while to fall asleep with it on, but I was able to do it pretty easy. So I'm hoping tonight will be good. Yeah, my whole way of going about this is wrong because we just get overwritten. I need to think of a different way of doing this. I think I was onto something about asking if we're grounded. Because it's the same problem. It's the same problem. Because grounded doesn't care if we're grounded on a platform, on the top platform or bottom platform. So it's like, yeah, sure, you're grounded, but it's on the index of the ground platform when we're on the top platform, so it's going to be giving us the wrong logic. So what? How do I do this different? I think we just need to I don't know how to do it. I was going to say take it out of this loop, but we need to be able to trigger our grounded to become false upon walking off a platform, and that means we need to check every platform, right? This is really tricky. And I'm sure it's one of those things. I mean, it's just, one of those things that's like I'm learning the limitations of what I can do in a for loop in Lua and whatnot, and how it can work and how. Because remember, our problem. What was the problem that we were trying to fix? And we just kept running into the same problem over and over and over and over and over and over. And we just had to do something different. So the problem is we need to trigger our grounded to be false if we're walking off a platform. But we can't overwrite our grounded state with other platforms. So it's almost like I need to link. I don't know what to do. I think I just need to stew on this and really try to think it through. Sorry this is so boring, guys. I really don't know what to do. I was gonna say I was thinking about linking whatever, like, once we become grounded with a platform, we say, okay, not only are we grounded, but we're grounded on this platform. Then every frame we need to be checking, hey, is the platform that you're currently on beneath you? If not, trigger grounded to be false. But how do we link a variable, how do we link a object, a collidable platform object, or just a platform object? How do we link a platform object to our ostrich object? Like, well, actually, I mean, we've got the value right here. So do we say like, mother? We say that our self platform link. I don't know what to call it. I mean, I guess self.platform is fine because we don't have a self.platform. Our self.platform gets initialized to nothing. Okay, our platform gets to nothing, but then once we collide with a value, and this value is going to be one of these collidable platforms, whichever one we collide with, we're going to, our self platform is going to get that platform. And what that allows us to do is to say, if, what does that allow us to do? So now that we're linked, now that our platform, the platform that we're currently standing on is in our platform member of our Ostrich. So instead of looping through, we put it, instead of changing our grounded on every platform, we just say, outside of our platform, we say, hey, if our self check grounded with our current platform, can that work? We're going to check grounded with the platform member that was assigned here. We're going to check grounded, and if we're not check grounded with our self platform, then our grounded gets false. And we don't need our self-grounded to be true because we're only setting it true upon bottom collision. Okay, Ostrich 33. I don't know. Attempting to index collidable platforms, which is a number value. Do I just not initialize it? No. I don't know how to do it. I thought I might be able to do some shenanigans there. I guess I'm going to leave that there for next time so I can pick up where I was thinking of doing. I guess what's confusing to me is why it's messing up on line 33. Because our check grounded function takes in a collidable platform. And this parameter doesn't. I don't get why it'd be messing up here. I'm trying to index local collidable platforms. I guess, oh, you know what? I think that's a little, Our table here is called collidable platforms, and our parameter here is called collidable platforms. And they might be overriding one another. So part of me thinks, or part of me wants to just see if we change this to collidable platform. If that would fix that issue. No. Fucker. I don't know. I want to say that that would give us a mistake. No, because I feel like collidable platforms is local to this function, so we shouldn't. I'm stumped. That's all there is to it. I'm going to switch this back. Collidable platforms. I'm going to comment this out for now because it doesn't work. And I'm going to say that this is busted following logic. And then turn it off. Okay, I mean, it's not simple for me to figure this out. But we did. Let's add everything to our staging area. Let's commit with a message saying fixed grounded check upon ostrich looping. And we're gonna excuse me, we're gonna push our branch to our online repository. Okay, sorry that was, not too eventful. We fixed one thing at least, so it wasn't like a total nothing. And it's hard to say. It's like, I feel like some of these problems just need to be thought about, and that's not so interesting on stream. So I don't know if I should just take an hour or two and just try to think it through, sitting down, and then come back to stream and try to implement some ideas. I don't know, but I'm happy I programmed today, so good success. And, just because we didn't fix the thing we were trying to doesn't mean it's a failure. The failure's given up, not even trying. So today's not a failure. It's just, at least as complicated as I thought it was. There's a way to do it. There's got to be a way to do it. There definitely is a way to do it. We just got to figure it out. Okay. Well, we already pushed. We got an hour. That's not bad. I'll try to do some thinking, because I think that cycling through each platform isn't the way to do it. We kept running into that same problem. We would just get overwritten. So we got to figure something else out. So I'll think about it. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll see if we can make it happen. Thanks for watching.